All right, Steve, you're on with Adam. Go ahead.
The bomb, Adam Piccolotti. Hey, this is Steve Jewin from MMA Mania. How are you doing today?
Doing well, Steve. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Hey, it's been too long since we've talked, but in the time that we last had a conversation, I poured over your statistics, and you've had 7 fights in San Jose and won 6 of them, including the last 2 in a row. What is it about you in San Jose that gels so well?
Man, it's my home. It's my home away from home. You know, I'm from right up the road, and I do all my training out there pretty much. And I love the energy. I love the venue. I love the back. I love everything about San Jose and the SAP Center and fighting and performing here. You know, a couple of those fights, or one of those fights, was at a different venue, but I love the SAP Center.
Yeah, the Shark Tank is a great place to hold fights, which is why Bellator keeps going back there. And Strikeforce basically made their name there, which is why I thought it was interesting you fought James Terry in your last fight, because he was one of those guys that was always featured on Strikeforce cards in San Jose.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what was it like getting to face Mr. Terry? I know he's a longtime veteran of the sport, so that had to be an interesting feel going in there with somebody that's been in this game for so long.
Yeah, and you know, with James, we've had so many, I knew James, you know, previously just from the scene. We had so many common connections as far as, training partners, coaches. It's almost a wonder how we never personally trained with each other, throughout the years. You know, there was aspects of fighting James that I really didn't like. It was, not necessarily somebody like on my hit list, like I like to say, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a true vet. I've always respected James. Another thing I didn't like about the fight was the weight, but you know, that's said and done with. But yeah, fighting James was amazing. You know, he's tough as nails. He gave me great 15 minutes of experience, and I got to go out there and get a win against a real grizzled vet.
And I think that set you up perfectly for this fight with Benson Anderson. You're going straight from one grizzled vet to another.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you think of Benson Anderson stylistically in this matchup? Is he the same guy that was WEC and UFC champion, or do you think anything's changed?
You know, I think, well, especially when we're talking WEC, you know, people always evolve, and there's been quite some time since then and now. But Benson he's made a lot of changes throughout the years, in my opinion, and, you know, he's done some good, some bad, but, you know, he's still the same guy. He's got all this experience in that head, and he's got, you know, just, skills in all aspects, you know, so, I feel really confident with the matchup personally. I always have. Benson's been one of those guys that I've always respected, but I've always kind of wanted to fight, you know, kind of one of those dream fights that I wanted back in the day. And, you know, as things got closer and closer, like, I started to get more excited about the possibility of it actually happening, and now it's here. So it's something I've always wanted, and it's something I really can't wait for.
So that hit list you were talking about then, Smooth Benson Anderson was definitely on it.
He was, but in a different type of way, in a respectful type of way.
Well, that's good. You want to go in there with respect with Benson, given that he's a legend in the sport, and he's got a 2-fight win streak, same as you coming in, so you definitely can't be taking him lightly, even at this point in his career.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, if anyone thinks he's washed up, they're crazy. He's way younger than he is in fighting years. You know, he's been fighting for a long time, but he's not like old. You know what I mean?
You know, that's the thing I've always noticed whenever I've talked to him or when I've met him in person. You know, he doesn't age. I don't know how he pulls that off. So
yeah, some people got the genetics and whatever. I don't know. It's that youthful spirit, I guess.
Yeah, if I ever see a wrinkle or a gray hair, I'm going to be shocked. But I don't think that really matters when it comes to fighting, because we've seen people be successful into their 40s anyway. Right now, you know,
Sure.
He's probably hitting his prime.
Sure, yeah. You could definitely make that argument.
Mm-hmm. After that fight with Sadawad, too, I thought, wow, you know, this is a guy who's knocked off many a lightweight in this division, including Will Brooks back when he was undefeated. So to go in there and manhandle Sadawad really showed that Benson is still at the top of his game.
Yeah, and it shows that he's so dynamic everywhere, you know, between his striking and his grappling. He is dynamic, and you know, he's going to be a tough go for sure.
Absolutely. So what have you done in training other than just your usual routine of cardio and strength and jiu-jitsu to get ready for Benson?
You know, every fight's a fight, you know, so a lot of the baseline things are going to be the same. there's definitely aspects that you want to study and, you know, start to game plan for, start to create specific muscle memory so it's sharp and it's fresh, you know, mainly being a southpaw, you know, that's always a big issue. But also, you know, his size is something you want to take into account. You know, he's got a lot of power up close. He's a little bit shorter than me. Just kind of basic overall fight strategy type of stuff, you know, nothing too crazy, nothing too different. Just kind of understanding that this fight, very well could be a scramble fest. You know, it could go anywhere. It can go feet to the ground, to back up, to back down quick, with a lot of different transitions. So it's been just, focusing on that and yeah, making sure that my cardio game and my strength is definitely up to par.
One thing that people have said about Benson in the past, fair or unfair, you can be the judge, is that he likes to win on points as opposed to dominating people. Do you see this as a possibility style-wise in the fight that you could end up having to outpoint him?
Yeah, I could definitely see him. I mean, that's I would have to agree with that opinion that other people share. You know, he is, in my opinion, somewhat of a point fighter. Not to say that he doesn't have the you know, potential to end fights. So it's definitely something that I'm not overlooking, but that's generally been, you know, how he gets a lot of his W's. So yeah, staying active and staying ahead and the scorecards while looking for the finish is crucial in this fight.
Now, it seems to me that being that you're just from up the road, as you said yourself, that this is not only a fun fight to take on such a great card with Rory McDonald and John Fitch headlining, co-main event, Ali Malay and Vita Ortega, but it's also going to be a really raucous crowd because they know you well.
Yeah, you know, last fight was actually the first time I ever got booed in San Jose. You know, I had a lot of fans, but James Theory has a lot of fans as well. You know, so that was kind of interesting. And you know what? It doesn't bother me. And this time, honestly, I know I have a lot of support in San Jose, but I know Benson has a lot of support historically, you know, and rightfully so. So if I get some boos and stuff like that here or there, I'm cool with it too.
Well, what about the position in the lightweight division with this fight? Do you feel that beating a legend like Benson puts you in title contention, or do you need a few more fights?
Absolutely. You know, the guy on the top right now is definitely on my hit list. So, I would love that opportunity. It's definitely, you know, in Bellator's hands as always, but I love that opportunity. There's maybe one other guy that I got my sights on, but, yeah, I would like that.
Well, first Michael Chandler has to face Patricio before we can sign another fight, but tell me why Michael is on your hit list.
There's a handful of reasons. I mean, one is a little bit of respect. You know, I know Michael Chandler's always been that name that people bring up when they're talking about, you know, great fighters outside of the UFC, you know, so I definitely want to steal that from him. And honestly, I see a lot of holes in his game. You know, people give him so much credit where I think I can exploit him. So it's just one of those things that, you know, I don't want to talk too much, especially with this task that I have in front of me, but he's somebody that I want to get in there with.
That's fair. And you know, it might be historically interesting to compare if that does happen, because we've seen Michael Chandler and Benson Henderson together before. So if you do well against Benson, that might look really good to Bellator, like, this is a matchup we should make.
Yeah, sure. You know, I don't really believe in MMA math, but I know matchmakers do a lot of times. And yeah, I put a good stamp on this fight, and I could definitely see it happening as well.
So if that fight isn't next, who else is on the hit list that you can see as being a great fight for you to take?
You know, again, another one out of respect that I've always wanted to fight, and I got lucky that he joined, is Roger Huerta. You know, he's the first guy to ever sign or be on the Sports Illustrated MMA fighter. And that's, I'm all about taking stuff from people, you know, so in my eyes, when I beat him too, then I'll be taking that as well.
Again, that would be another good point of comparison, though, because Benson Henderson fought Roger Huerta, and that was probably the most exciting fight Benson has had since the Chandler fight.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
Yeah, in fact, when Roger Huerta started throwing bombs on him, I was like, wow, he's putting Benson Henderson in the position of having a gunfight. You don't see that very often.
Yeah, he pulled out some brawler out of Benson. Exactly. You don't see that too much. He's usually more stick and move, point fighter style. So yeah, Huerta brings a fun style. You know, he's an aggressive fighter. He's a fighter's fighter, and I like mixing it up with guys like that.
Awesome. We'll look forward to seeing you mix it up with Benson as well. Maybe you can force him to get out of that point style and really make him engage with you the same way Roger did.
Yeah, yep. I'm looking to do all that.
All right. What about family and friends coming for this fight? If you had to answer a lot of ticket requests for this upcoming Bellator on April 27th?
Yeah, tickets is kind of one of my pet peeves. It's obviously something that we all have to deal with, but it can be hard, and people like to wait till the last second. So what I've actually done this time is I have one of my good friends handling a lot of my ticket requests. So they're sending emails to my friend, and they're taking care of all the meetups and stuff like that. So yeah, we've already sold more than I have previously at the SAP Center. So that's great news. Friends and family all of course want to be there for this one too. So I think I should have a good turnout. And it's definitely one of those things though I try to put in the back of my mind. I try not to deal with up front.
Well, of course, yeah. You don't want anything to distract you from training. You got to stay laser focused getting ready for a guy like Benson Anderson.
Exactly.
So what about the weight and the diet? Everything ready to go? Are you like on path this far out from the fight?
Yeah, I'm on point. At this point, I feel that I've got it down to a pretty good science, and my weight's right where I want it to be, especially for the level of conditioning and strength I've maintained. So everything it's looking good. I'm feeling great.
Some fighters like to tell me that they train for a 3-round fight like it's going 5 rounds. Do you have that philosophy as well?
Sure. I mean, sometimes in the gym, or it depends, when it comes to strength conditioning, absolutely. You need to be training above and beyond. Sometimes the hard sparring rounds, you want to kind of keep it right about where you want to be. But, mixing it up, I'm a big believer of that. So maybe getting some, 3 hard spar rounds, and then mixing it in with some mitt work and grappling and stuff like that to kind of extend the gas tank a little bit more. My gas tank has historically been very good. I just got to make sure that I have a strong warm up, and I kind of get that first one out of myself first. So then I'll be ready. I'll be ready to go all night. I could fight a 5-round fight right now, but I feel my condition is that good.
Well, awesome. So you'll be ready for a title shot if it comes. But in the meantime, you got to fight the smooth one himself first. So before we wrap it up, I want to give you this chance to thank teammates and sponsors and throw out any links that you want to throw out for social media.
Right on. I appreciate that. It's always the same people with small additions. All my people at AKA, all my people in Half Moon Bay. Raul Castillo is always a huge supporter. My head coach. Hoff, Bob Cook, all my coaches at AKA, training partners. John Fitch has obviously been a big part of this one, fighting on the same card. I've also been mixing it up over at CSA with Kieran Fitzgibbons and Gaston Bolanos. So that's been an awesome addition. I appreciate them and all their hospitality. Sponsors, like all the sponsors that give me, the Fight to Fight sponsorships, I really appreciate them, but I especially appreciate the ones that have been with me and the ones that stick with me, like on it, like my local sponsors, Goldworks, Verdura Construction, all these guys have been, Team Terminator, all these guys have been so vital. So I appreciate all them. And, all you folks out there can follow me, on my Twitter, Instagram, and all that stuff. I'm mainly on Instagram, at Adam Piccolotti, and I try to be as interactive as possible. So yeah, shoot me DMs. If I don't get back to you right away, I will. And I appreciate all you guys.
And we appreciate you taking the time today, Adam. It's going to be a really fun fight, and it's going to be a family affair with John Fitch and Gaston Bolanos and you all there. So you know each other well, and you're all going to have fun fights. So have a great time on April 27th.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you, Adam, and thank you, Dan, as well.